Hi guys, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. This is the preview for the game against Leicester on Sunday afternoon, the half-4 game live on Sky Television as well. So Newcastle have the limelight against a very good Leicester City side. Let's get into the preview. Let's start with Leicester. They're coming off a fantastic win in the Cup against Luton, 4-0 away from home, but their last Premier League game was a fantastic 2-1 win over Tottenham. They pretty much went 2-0 down, but obviously VAR got involved and Serge Aurier's goal was disallowed and Leicester came back. First through Ricardo, right fullback, with a fantastic effort from a Jamie Vardy cross, and then James Maddison. Now this is the player that we really need to watch because he is the playmaker for Leicester at the minute. He is the man in form, and his shot from about 25 yards out and it beat Gazaniga, and it was a fantastic finish and a great 3 points for Brendan Rodgers' side. But James Maddison is the one that Newcastle really have to watch. He's the man in form. He's on the verge of an England start, never mind an England call-up, and Newcastle have to try and nullify him as much as possible, because if he gets too much time on the ball, you've seen what he did against Tottenham. He likes to link up with Jamie Vardy as well, which he did very well last season, and he's starting to do that again this season. So Newcastle have to try and nullify him as much as possible. I would say, even if Hayden just stops him, if Hayden has to man-mark him a little bit, I think that's the amount of respect we have to give James Maddison as a Leicester City player, because he is a fantastic young player that Leicester have got. We'd like to see Newcastle have a few more of them as well. Other players that Leicester have that I think would be a massive threat, Jamie Vardy. He just loves scoring goals against anybody, never mind Newcastle. I thought we did pretty well to stop him last season, especially at the King Power when we won 1-0, and we'll talk about that goal scorer a little bit later on in this video. But Jamie Vardy's another man in form, and got to try and stop him getting that ball and over the top of our defence, because we've got nobody that can match him for pace. Dummett can't, Lascelles can't, Shaw can't, nobody can match Jamie Vardy for pace. We've got to try and stop that pass over the top of our defence as well. You've got the likes of Tielemans as well, Harvey Barnes, Damari Gray, all these different players. Not all of them are going to start, but they're all different threats. But the one player which I think most Newcastle fans are going to be interested to see if he starts the game is the former Newcastle man, Ayoze Perez. Perez hasn't really had the best of start at Leicester, which I'm not surprised. However, it'd be typical Ayoze Perez and typical Newcastle United if he was to get his first goal against his former employer. I think for me, surely Newcastle's defence or Newcastle's midfield know how to stop Ayoze Perez. They've trained with him for years, and you'd like to think that if he does come off the bench or he does start, then Newcastle can deal with him. And they did that to an extent against Leicester in the Cup, which were lost on penalties, and Perez didn't really get much joy at all. I could just think of one half-decent chance which he had, but I think Newcastle did pretty well to deal with Leicester, and Ayoze Perez in particular. So it'll be interesting to see if he starts. I don't think he will start. I think he was subbed off after an hour by Brendan Rodgers. I just have a feeling that I don't think he'll start this weekend, but I could be proved wrong. And Brendan Rodgers, for me, there was a lot of links with him maybe becoming the next Newcastle manager if he was to leave Celtic last season and before he got the Leicester job, and Rafa Benitez wasn't to agree new terms, but it's gone full circle and Leicester got rid of Claude Puel and they pounced on Brendan Rodgers, and you can kind of see why, because they play fantastic football and he's been allowed to spend a little bit of money and he still managed to sell Harry Maguire, and Leicester look a very, very good team. And we said on the radio show on Sunday that I feel that Leicester will probably break the top 6, and if they keep on going the way they're going, there's an argument that they could get into the top 4. I think that's pretty much borderline at the minute, but I definitely think they can get into the top 6 the way that teams like Manchester United in particular are playing. I think the top 6 is definitely on the cards for a team like a Leicester City. Let's talk about Newcastle though. You know, coming back from a very, very disappointing 0-0 draw against Brighton on Saturday, in which we were pretty much outplayed for 50-60 minutes of the game, which is very frustrating and disappointing to say. But Newcastle got a point, probably one more than they probably should have deserved looking back at the game. For me, Newcastle have to try and get something from this game away from home, when especially we've got the international break as well in a couple of weeks, and it's Leicester then Manchester United. Now, for me, if we have to put 10 behind the ball for the majority of the game, then let's just do that. Let's make sure that our defence is tough to beat. Let's make sure our midfield is quite tight and compact. But when we get the chance to counter-attack the likes of Christian Atsu, and I think it'll be Miguel Almiron as well, I just feel that Steve Bruce will not risk Alan Saint-Maximin from the start. I just think he'll learn his lesson from the Tottenham game. As much as I think Newcastle fans would like to see Saint-Maximin start, I just don't want him to be risked. And I think he's got more of a chance of starting the Manchester United game if Almiron or Atsu has a poor game at the King Power on Sunday. But Joe Linton has to take his chances. He had a header in the first half against Brighton, and he had half chances in the second half, but it's got to be the same kind of tactics against Tottenham. He might only get 1 or 2 chances, and he's got to kind of put them away, because for me, Leicester's defence, they've got Evans and Sionchu, if that's how you pronounce it, apologies if it isn't. They're not the youngest defenders in the world, so maybe try and use a bit of pace and have a battle with them, like he has seemed to have done most of the season. I think Joe Linton has got to be the player that has to take his chances, and if Almiron and Atsu can try with whatever counter-attacks they have to limit Newcastle's, to try and maximise Newcastle's opportunities to get some goals on the ball, then they desperately need it. Pressure again on Steve Bruce in every Newcastle game it seems to be at the minute, but apparently he's going to let the shackles off and Newcastle are going to go for it. I can't see it happening this Sunday, but maybe the Manchester United game, especially if it's at home, there's more of a chance of that happening. But it's going to be tough for Newcastle. It's going to be tough for Newcastle fans that are going down to watch it, because I don't think it'll be a pretty game in terms of Newcastle going forward. I think it'll be a lot of defending, and I think it'll be a lot of hard work. But we have beaten Leicester the last couple of times. We've been down to King Power, both goals including Ayoze Perez and obviously John Joe Shelby scoring in a 2-1 win a couple of years ago. So Newcastle go there a little bit of confidence in terms of going down to Leicester and getting all 3 points. How do I see it going? Unfortunately, I don't see Newcastle getting anything from this game. I try to be as positive as I can be, but I think Leicester will be just too strong for us, and I think Leicester will win this by 2-0. I think Jamie Vardy will have something to do with this game. So that is my prediction: Leicester 2, Newcastle United 0. Newcastle Fans TV is going to be at the game on Sunday. Lee, Kyle and Jonathan Kennedy will be down there for us. We'll also have a best 11 between Newcastle and Leicester. We'll have looking at the opposition also this week, and we'll have all of Steve Bruce's reaction from the press conference as well, which will be about Friday, maybe Saturday, depending on what comes out of that press conference. So if you want all the latest in terms of Leicester versus Newcastle, then Newcastle Fans TV is the place to get all the information for the game as well. So comment with your predictions as well. Do you agree with me? Can Newcastle get anything? I don't think they will, but if you can try and argue and debate why they can, then that'll be great as well. But like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll get all the football for Leicester versus Newcastle out this week, and hopefully Newcastle can do something and put a smile on Newcastle fans' faces this weekend. But yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on Sunday.